In this video, you learn how to insert data into tables by using insert, which is a DML statement in SQL. You also learn to use substitution variables and subqueries in an insert statement. Consider a scenario where Alice, the HR manager, wants to update the outdated employee list in her organization because she has hired new employees recently and a few employees have left the organization. Alice logs into the HR application and inserts or deletes employee records. These transactions in the HR application are performed by using data manipulation language statements in the background. Let's learn about DML statements and how to use them. You can add new rows to a table by issuing insert statement. In the syntax, table is the name of the table. Column is the name of the column in the table to populate. Value is the corresponding value for the column. Note that with this syntax, only one row is inserted at a time. Consider a scenario where Alice wants to insert a new department record in the departments table. The SQL statement can be written as shown. The statement inserts a new department record where the values in the values clause are in the same order of the column names listed in the insert clause. However, if you do not use the column list, the values must be listed according to the default order of the columns in the table, and a value must be provided for each column. You must enclose character and date values within single quotation marks. Imagine a situation where Alice wants to insert another new department record, but she is not aware of the values for manager ID and location ID. You can still insert the record with null values for the columns, manager ID and location ID, and update the corresponding values later. Before you do that, be sure that you can use null values in the targeted columns by verifying the null status using the describe command. You have two options for inserting a null value with the insert statement. The implicit method is to omit the columns from the column list in the insert clause as shown. The query inserts the row with null values for all other columns not listed. The explicit method is to specify the null keyword in the values list as shown. Let's verify the insertion. You can use functions to enter special values in the table. Observe the SQL statement on the screen, which records information for employee POP in the employees table. The query supplies the system date and time in the higher date column. It uses the sysdate function that returns the system date. Similarly, you can also use the user function when inserting rows in a table, which records the current username. Confirm if Louis Pop is added. Imagine if Alice needs to insert 10 new departments into a table. Writing a single insert statement will only insert one record. To insert 10 records, you will need to write 10 insert statements. Instead, you can use the substitution variable in the SQL statement. For example, to insert a new record into departments table, you can write the SQL statement as shown. In the query, ampersand acts as a placeholder for the variable value. It prompts for a value each time you run the query. This enables you to run the same script over and over, but supply a different set of values each time you run it. Consider a scenario where Alice wants to maintain a separate table for sales representatives. As you are already aware, all employee records are maintained in the employees table. Hence, you can copy specific rows of sales representatives from the employees table to the new table. This is achieved by writing the insert statement with a subquery. Observe the SQL statement as shown. This query inserts all the rows returned by the subquery into the table sales_reps. Note that the sales_reps table must already have been created before running the insert statement. The number of columns and their data types in the column list of the insert clause must match the number of values and their data types in the subquery. To create an exact replica of a table, use select star in the subquery. Note that the copy_emp table must already have been created before running the insert statement, else it throws an error. Refer the code examples file for SQL statements that create the required tables. In this video, you learned to insert new values into a table. You also learned to use substitution variable and subqueries in an insert statement. In the next video, you will learn to modify values and delete rows from a table. Thank you for watching.